Chapter 1635. Escape. Yes, their original plan was just to kidnap Shiyu and then use the voodoo poison inside Jingxue to control Nangongyu. This way, things could be resolved perfectly, without a single drop of blood being shed. However, things didn't go so smoothly. Therefore, they also arranged a backup plan. They decided to establish a barrier, effectively transforming all of Yanjing City and the nearby Tsang Mountains into an isolated place, leaving everyone trapped inside with no way to escape or call for help. As for the people in Yanjing City and Sealed Dragon Domain, they wouldn't mind sparing their lives if they didn't interfere with their plans. However, anyone who dared to stop them would face their wrath. In the eyes of Siamese people like them, the martial artists of the lower realm, whether they were royalty or disciples from prestigious clans, were nothing more than ants that could be crushed underfoot at any moment. In the void, after Hushi recovered, she began to look up the general outline of the Sumeru void. She discovered that new text had appeared in parts that were originally blank. Originally, Hushi's circle of life had not yet reached the soul condensation stage. However, due to Little Egg's sudden outbreak, something within the void's restrictions was unknowingly triggered, unexpectedly unsealing the void's capacity to accommodate her physical body. What frustrated Hushi was that after the first layer of shelter restriction was lifted, her physical body could only stay in the void for 1 hour. For the next 7 days, she wouldn't be able to trigger this function. For Hushi, who was now in danger, there was no way to truly get her out of danger. An hour passed quickly. Hushi appeared in the dim room. She restrained her spiritual power, lowering her presence. Then she quietly jumped onto the roof. After walking for a while, Hushi saw a place emitting light from above. That was a recently activated array. It was the teleportation array that Qianyu had just mentioned that could send people outside Yanjing City. Hushi had also considered going to the Nangong Mansion to find Nangongyu, but at this moment, the Nangong Mansion must be the most heavily guarded place. If she were to enter, she might be facing a certain doom. The safest approach now was to return to the Sealed Dragon Domain, as that was the most advantageous battlefield for her. Below, the person who had just activated the teleportation array and was about to report suddenly felt his vision go blurry. A figure slowly descended in front of him. The man was proficient in formations, but his cultivation was only at the gold core stage. Upon encountering Hushi, he didn't even have a chance to utter a word before being struck in the throat by the Li Shui sword, falling to the ground. Hushi was about to enter the teleportation array when suddenly, the door slammed open with a loud bang. Standing at the doorway were the 3 men who had earlier attempted to rape her in that dimly lit room. Each of these 3 people had the cultivation level of nascent soul stage. The moment they saw Hushi, their eyes glowed with excitement. Found her, the damn woman is here. She is going to enter the teleportation array. Stop her quickly. We must not let her escape. Catch her and present her to our master to redeem ourselves. Otherwise, we will surely suffer dire consequences. The 3 of them drew their swords and rushed toward Hushi ferociously. Hushi sneered. Li Shui soared into the sky, unleashing a fierce sword aura with a resounding whistle. When Qianyu hurried to the scene after hearing the commotion, she found her subordinates lying on the ground, impaled by numerous swords. Then, she witnessed the graceful young girl gradually fading away within the teleportation array. Chapter 1636. Jingxue is dead. Shiyu. Qianyu let out a shrieking cry. Do you think you can escape? Notify Feng Yunzhao and ask him to use the tracking technique to track the traces of the voodoo's silk and determine the exact location of Shiyu. Also, send a message to Mu Hua, telling him to dispatch his men. Xiaoyu is at a dead end, and will definitely return to the Sealed Dragon Domain. Since she wants to go back, we'll catch her there. Xiaoyu, you have no way to escape now. I want to see how long you can remain arrogant. In the King of Hell Mansion, Qing Wan, Shi Jia, and others rushed in after hearing the commotion, only to witness the scene where Nangongyu had a chilling expression, tightly gripping the neck of Shiyu. Qing Wan's face was painted with fear. Master, what are you doing? Let go of the queen. Gu Lufeng and Ouyang Haoshuan felt something was wrong with Nangongyu's behavior just now, so they followed him. Gu Lufeng was shocked when he saw this scene and rushed over without thinking. Nan Gongyu, what are you doing? However, before he could take a step, Ouyang Haoshuan stopped him. Ouyang Haoshuan's expression was gloomy and icy. His sharp gaze was fixed on the woman whose throat was being gripped by Nan Gongyu. Even though she had the same breathtaking appearance, with identical eyebrows, eyes, and facial features, this person was not Xiaoyu, because there was no trace of Xiaoyu's scent on her. Instead, she emitted a nauseating stench, much like the odor found in many others. Nan Gongyu looked coldly at Shiyu, who was lifted up in the air, and said word by word. I'll say it again. Where is Shiyu? I'm Shiyu Nan Gongyu. Ah. Nan Gongyu's hands suddenly tightened. If you don't tell me, just go to hell. Crack, 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 that was the sound of the throat bones almost being crushed. The woman being held in the air by Nan Gongyu's grip had her entire face contorted and grotesque, showing traces of bluish-black marks. Nan Gongyu was indeed intent on strangling her, without the slightest hint of hesitation. At this moment, Jingxue was finally scared. She couldn't breathe. She could hear the unpleasant sound like a broken bellows coming from her throat. The black aura silently emanated from Nan Gongyu's hand. Upon contacting with this aura, the perfect disguise voodoo that had been applied to Jingxue's face reacted as though it had encountered a formidable foe. It wriggled in fear, attempting to escape. Crack, dash, the disguised voodoo shattered into pieces, returning Jingxue to her original appearance. Ah, how could it be you? Qing Wan exclaimed. Where's the queen? Gu Lufeng also looked horrified. Why did she appear here as Shiyu? Where is Shiyu? Jingxue's face was covered in tears and mucus as she looked at the man gripping her throat in terror. She hoarsely pleaded. Have mercy on me, have mercy on me, I'll tell you. It's someone asked me to replace Xiaoyu and be with you in bed, it's Lu. Before Jingxue could finish her sentence, her face contorted with fear, and her flesh began to rot at a speed visible to the naked eye. Eventually she turned into a mummy corpse. Jingxue was dead. Nan Gongyu stared blankly at Jingxue's lifeless body. He suddenly gripped her neck tightly, crushing the bones to pieces before throwing her aside. He turned around fiercely, his eyes glowing red like a demon's, and glared viciously at Qing Wan, Wu Nian, and others. Tell me, why was Shiyu switched? Where is Shiyu now? There was a barrier around the bridal chamber, so he would definitely know if anyone tried to break in. Chapter 1637. Didn't make it in time. The only way someone could have gotten into the bridal chamber was if Qing Wan and Wu Nian had let them in on purpose. Qing Wan's face was full of panic, and tears suddenly welled up. Impossible, impossible. How could Miss have been switched out? The one who is dead is Jingxue, so where is the real Miss? It's old lady Nangong. Shijia blurted in a deep voice. Just now only old lady Nangong entered the room. There was deep sorrow and regret in his eyes. He had already harbored suspicions, so why hadn't he sought further confirmation? If he had been more careful, Miss would not have gone missing. Hearing the words old lady Nangong, Nangongyu's body swayed slightly, then he said coldly, bring the person here. I will question her myself. He wanted to ask his dear grandmother personally. Wu Nian was about to say something but hesitated. Master, old lady Nangong wouldn't have done such a thing. So tell me, where's Shiyu now? Nangongyu asked, his eyes cold. You were supposed to be keeping a close watch at the door. Look at the mess we're in now. Wu Nian shuddered violently, a spine-chilling fear rising from his core, weakening his knees to the point he almost wanted to kneel. Fists clenched, he hung his head in shame upon hearing Nangongyu's words. Yes, he Wu Nian had been guarding here, and yet such an outcome had occurred. Among the master's 8 most trusted confidants, he and Wu Gu were the most proficient in array. Today, with Wu Gu in charge of the outside, he was responsible inside. Yet someone had managed to switch the bride right through their array, and he had detected nothing at all. Such a mistake was critical. Master, old lady Nangong is missing. Wu Yu hurried over to report. Nangongyu's face was so gloomy that sweat dripped from his face. He exuded an aura of sheer brutality and ferocity all around him. Sheer had vanished right under his nose on their wedding night. The sounds of laughter and the clinking of glasses continued outside. oblivious to the storm brewing inside, ready to erupt like a volcano. Flutter, flutter, chirp, chirp, chirp. Urgent bird calls came from the sky not far away. It seemed particularly abrupt. Everyone looked up and saw a yellow Yumin bird constantly hitting the barrier. Its wings were riddled with wounds. Its urgent, piercing cries cut through the air. Nangongyu's eyes narrowed. He waved his hand, removing the barrier. Yumin bird fell to the ground with a thud. Soon her body shook, transforming into the appearance of a young girl. But at this moment, the young girl's condition was rather pitiful. She had wounds all over her body and a broken arm as well. As soon as Li Yu saw Nangongyu, she immediately cried, "Nangong, hurry, you have to save Shiyu. Someone's trying to capture her. Lots and lots of people are after her." Nangongyu said urgently, "Who's trying to capture her?" "How did you know?" Li Yu told Nangongyu what she heard in the magical beast forest, and the information Xiao Li passed on. The more he listened, the colder and darker his expression became. The Lu family, the Green Vine clan. So many people are coveting Shiyu's wood source when I'm unaware. As Shiyu's husband, how could I have been unaware of the peril she was in? Shiyu has been captured. Nangongyu closed his eyes before saying hoarsely, "Do you know where they will take Shiyu?" Li Yu burst into tears. She had rushed here as fast as possible, and Wuxia had sustained serious injuries protecting her. Unfortunately, she still didn't make it in time. Chapter 1638. Pick one. Shiyu has been taken. What will happen to her? Could those villains kill her? Oh, I can't bear the thought of Shiyu dying. And if Shiyu were to die, how heartbroken Miss Xiaoli would be. Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly grabbed the struggling Xiaoqi with one hand and stepped forward. Xiaoqi knows where Shiyu is. This was a statement, not a question. Xiaoqi was also incessantly shouting, "Sister, find sister. Sister is in danger. Xiaoqi wants to go, let me go, you bully." Xiaoqi paused for a moment, then muttered, "Brother-in-law, protect sister." A slender hand grabbed his sleeve in a rush, urging, "Follow, follow Xiaoqi, go." Nangongyu grabbed Xiaoqi and flew out of the King of Hell mansion like lightning, flying in the direction Xiaoqi pointed. His speed was incredibly fast. When Qinglong, Gu Lufeng, and the others chased him desperately, they felt only a gust of wind pass by. And then he was out of sight. Luckily, Ouyang Haoshuan had a blood pact with Hushi and had a faint sense of Hushi's direction, so he reluctantly chased after Nangongyu. Not long after Nangongyu left the King of Hell mansion, a familiar scream came to his ears. "Your help." Nangongyu stopped, put down the Xiaoqi in his hand, and looked coldly at the alley not far away. So at this moment, a woman dressed in white slowly emerging from the alleyway appeared strikingly out of place. There, in full white attire with a white veil, was a woman holding a dagger that shimmered with a purple glow. In her other hand, she grasped an old woman's neck, the blade of the dagger pressing deeply against it. This old woman was dressed in gorgeous clothes and had a messy red hairpin on her head. She was none other than Old Lady Nangong. When Old Lady Nangong saw Nangongyu, she burst into tears and shouted sadly, "You're." The woman in white suddenly raised a dagger and slashed it on the top of Old Lady Nangong's head. Suddenly, her bun was cut in half and all her gray hair fell to the floor. "Nangongyu, if you dare take one more step forward, don't blame me for being rough with this old hag." Nangongyu looked at him coldly. He spoke coldly. "Who is Lu Wushuang to you? Did she take Shiyu? Where is Lu Wushuang now?" Tisk tsk. Even while watching your own grandmother suffer, all you talk about is Shiyu. The woman in white chuckled. "I really didn't expect that. Just like your father, you're a hopeless romantic. How about this? Choose between the life of this old woman and Shiyu's life. What do you say, Your Highness, the King of Hell?" Old Lady Nangong let out a scream of terror when her hair was cut off. She was trembling all over and looked at Nangongyu pleadingly. "You or save Grandma. Please save Grandma." Nangongyu's gaze fell upon her, his expression as calm as still water. He slowly said, "Then grandmother, please tell me first, why did you collude with outsiders to kidnap Shiyu? Why did you betray my trust in you?" The expression on Old Lady Nangong's face stiffened, and then she immediately responded with a quivering voice, "What nonsense are you talking about? How could I collude with outsiders to kidnap Shiyu? Have you been listening to others trying to sow discord? I am your grandmother. Chapter 1639. The mastermind behind the scenes. Yes, you are my grandmother. Nangongyu suddenly burst out into laughter. His laughter was hoarse and strained, as if filled with immense regret. It is precisely because you're my only grandmother that I trusted you. But it was my foolish trust that put Shiyu in danger. Ha ha ha. It's me. I'm the one who harmed her. Hearing Nangongyu's laughter, both the woman in white and old lady Nangong felt a chill as if the temperature around them had begun to drop. Just at this moment, Qinglong, Bai Hu Qingwan Xianwu, Wu Xian, Wu Yu Wu Nian, and Wu Go had arrived. Gu Lufeng Ouyang Haoshuan Shi Jia, and others also arrived. Old lady Nangong suddenly came back to her senses and started screaming nonstop. It's not me. It's not me. How could you wrongly accuse me? I have always been kind to Shiyu. How could I harm her? Qingwan pointed at old lady Nangong and said with hatred, It was you. You were the only one who went into the bridal chamber. Who else could have kidnapped Miss if not you? I only regret why I didn't stop you from entering at that time, causing harm to Mississippi Sob. Before old lady Nangong could speak, Xianwu suddenly stepped forward and said, Master, I have just received the investigation results from Enlin from the Miracle Healer Academy. It has been confirmed that old lady Nangong was indeed one of the masterminds who set up a trap to frame the queen that day. Moreover, she used her authority over the investigation to cover up for Yin Jingxue, who was also a co-conspirator. Back when Xianwu conducted the investigation at the Miracle Healer Academy, he noticed traces of Yin Jingxue's involvement in the conspiracy, but old lady Nangong covered it up. Therefore, after Xianwu returned, he still left members of the Iron Kirin, Enlin, to continue the investigation. Initially, he just wanted to confirm that old lady Nangong was protecting Yin Jingxue. However, to his surprise, the investigation eventually revealed that old lady Nangong was the real mastermind behind the scenes, and even Mammy Chi was a confidant who acted under her orders. Xianwu's sharp eyes swept over old lady Nangong, and the woman in white next to her. Moreover, Enlin also found out that old lady Nangong has long been in contact with Thousand Poison Valley Master Lu Wushuang. The Nangong family has been taking orders from the Lu family. In the beginning, it was old lady Nangong who bridged the connection. There is another thing that my subordinates suspected, but have not confirmed yet. On the day the master's mother fell victim to the voodoo poison, she had met quite a few people from the Nangong family. But from what I know, the only person who had the trust of our master's mother, as well as the opportunity to commit the deed, was none other than the elderly lady Nangong herself. If it hadn't been for the investigation into the Queen's case, which brought out the connection between old lady Nangong and Lu Wushuang, I would have never imagined that the seemingly kindest elder of the Nangong family is actually the most sinister and vicious person. Nangongyu revealed a bitter smile, his voice hoarse as he said, I thought that in my family, there was at least one person who truly cared for me, who considered me family. But it turns out, the only person I trusted was the real mastermind behind the ruin of my household, and the loss of my loved ones. Had Nangongyu not placed complete trust in old lady Nangong, Xianwu wouldn't have held on to his suspicions in silence, choosing instead to wait until he had gathered enough evidence before speaking out. If Nangongyu hadn't taken it lightly, if it weren't for his overconfidence in his ability to protect Shiyu wouldn't now be in a situation where her life or death remained uncertain. Nangongyu's face gradually turned deathly pale, feeling a sharp, heart-wrenching pain in his chest. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Master! Qinglong and others rushed over to help him in panic. Chapter 1640. Impending bloodshed. With a face frozen in shock, old lady Nangong could no longer deny the accusations. Tears and snot covered her face as she cried. Your grandmother had no other choice. It was Lu Wushuang. She forced me to do it. If I didn't do as she said, she threatened to kill our entire Nangong family. Sabu, I'm your biological grandmother. Are you just going to stand by and watch your relatives die? No matter how good Shiyu is, she's still an outsider. No matter how wonderful a woman she is, once you're in Siam, wouldn't there be others you could marry? Your second uncle is also in the hands of the Liu family. If you dare to take action against the Liu family, our Nangong family will be doomed. After all, you bear the surname of Nangong. Do you want to watch all your relatives die for the sake of a woman? Nangong Yu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. A chilling smile crept upon his face. His eyes were devoid of warmth. The Nangong family is doomed, you say? That's fantastic. I wouldn't even want to dirty my hands killing you all myself. After saying that, he grabbed Xiao Qi and jumped into the air. Gu Lufeng, Shi Jia Qinghuan, and Ouyang Haoshuan quickly followed. They only cared about Shiyu's life and death at this moment. Qing Long and Wu Xian, however, stayed behind and surrounded the woman in white and old lady Nangong. There was panic in the eyes of the woman in white. She looked around. 3 nascent soul stages with formidable strength surrounded her. Moreover, she was only at the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage. She stood no chance facing 7 opponents alone. Don't come any closer. This is the old lady of the Nangong family. Don't you care whether she lives or dies? Responding to her, Wu Xian coldly gestured with a wave of his hand. Do it! Moments later, in the dark, silent alley, the smell of blood permeated the air. Lying on the ground were a woman in white and an old lady with graying hair. Both had their eyes wide open, their gazes filled with fear and disbelief. The night was still young. The real battle and bloodshed had yet to begin. At the foot of the Tsong Mountains, red silk was now spread out, and the noise was earth-shattering. Yanjing City was only that big, but the guests attending Nangong Yu and Shiyu's wedding numbered in the hundreds if not thousands. Consequently, many banquet tables were also set up here. For example, the 100,000 Jingxue army, the staff from various branches of Shengda Hall, and some low-rank martial artists who came from afar to the wedding. Although it wasn't as lively here as at the King of Hell Mansion and the Cheong Luo banquet, the wine and spiritual food provided were also of excellent quality, with a rich aroma permeating the air. Zhou Yanan wore a scholar outfit. He squinted and smiled as he watched his younger brothers, Zhou Huaiyan and Chen Guang, laughing heartily while they enjoyed the feast. Wei Daxiao and Shisen also joined in. Hearty laughter was everywhere in the banquet. Chen Bai was sitting next to Zhou Yanan, watching this scene. He couldn't help but sigh. It feels like yesterday when we pledged our loyalty to the young master and followed him to serve Miss, who was then disguised as a man and only at the foundation establishment stage. In the blink of an eye, she has reached the gold core stage, about to marry into the King of Hell Mansion. Our Shengda Hall has expanded beyond our wildest dreams. Now, who in the Miluo continent doesn't know of our existence? Zhou Yanan smiled and nodded repeatedly, his eyes sparkling. He would never forget the days when Gu Lufeng was kidnapped by the Morong family, and Shengda Hall closed down. He was left with no place to go. He would never forget how Shi Ju reached out to him at the pivotal moment, bringing Shengda Hall back from the brink of collapse and restoring its name to glory across the world. Chapter 1641. Many people. Chen Guang bit into a piece of meat inside. Our 100,000 Jingxue army originally followed young Master Ouyang to seek refuge with the young lady, hoping to become the young lady's backing and help her conquer the world. Who would have expected that the young lady didn't need our help at all? She took care of everything by herself. Moreover, we also got great benefits from the young lady. It's really shameful to think about it. Sitting in the corner, the young troublemaker Shi Lang was feeding soup to a girl called Little Wan. Upon hearing those words, he clenched his fist and shook it, saying, "My future skills will definitely surpass Mrs. I will become Mrs.'s personal bodyguard and protect her. Just wait and see." Everyone present burst into hearty laughter, both amused by Shi Lang's youthful boasting and cherishing Shi Yu's kindness toward them in their hearts. Suddenly Shi Lang, who had been ladling soup, twitched his nose and furrowed his brow, saying, "Many people are approaching this way." "Huh? Many people?" Zhou Yanan frowned. By all rights, the guests who came to attend the wedding banquet should have been settled by now, right? Why would there be many more people? Shi Lang frowned tightly. His years of wandering experience gave him a sense of unease. However, he couldn't tell what was wrong. "Who are you?" Chen Bai suddenly shouted and shot out like an arrow. Soon he was holding a young man covered in blood asking, "Who are you? Why are you sneaking around here?" "Notify miss." The young man's face was ashen. His voice was hoarse and intermittent. "Someone is trying to capture her. The Liu family and the Greenvine clan have dispatched numerous experts of soul-splitting stage and nascent soul stage to capture her. Tell her quickly escape." Zhou Yanan looked at the young man covered in blood. The more he looked, the more familiar he seemed. He suddenly exclaimed, "Aren't you Shaoli's brother? The miss you are talking about is Shiyu, right? Who is trying to capture Shiyu?" Wuxia opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His voice became weaker and weaker. "It's too late, miss, run away." After saying this, Wuxia passed out completely, and even his breathing almost stopped. Zhou Yanan, Chen Guang, and the rest looked at each other. They all saw the solemnity and worry on each other's faces. Sam bit her nails and looked around. The place was crowded with people drinking wine. Most of them were soldiers of the Jingxue army and employees of Shengda Hall. Everyone knows that Shiyu values friendship the most. If an expert from the soul-splitting stage comes to massacre us, could she possibly stand by uncaring? Shi Lang said many people are approaching this place. Are they here to take our lives? Open the sealed dragon domain. Shi-san jumped onto the dining table in a hurry and shouted, "Everyone enter the sealed dragon domain immediately." Entering the sealed dragon domain would provide them the ability to fend off the attackers. The festive atmosphere was replaced by solemnity in an instant. The 100,000 Jingxue army was well trained. They immediately entered the sealed dragon domain in an orderly manner upon hearing the order. However, some of the associates from the Shengda Hall, along with other low-level warriors who came to join in the excitement, all seemed unconcerned. They didn't understand why Shiyu's followers suddenly made such a fuss about nothing. Chapter 1642. Kill without mercy. Some guests even sneered. Could it be that the King of Hell and Shiyu have been bled dry by our feasting, and they can't afford to let us continue eating? I've heard that the sealed dragon domain is full of traps and is entirely under Shiyu's control. If they have evil intentions, aren't we just vulnerable livestock with our lives in their hands? The teleportation array to the sealed dragon domain kept lighting up. Although everyone was moving quite fast, it still took a considerable amount of time. As the last group of people approached the teleportation array, suddenly, an old and solemn voice came from the distance. "All soldiers of the Tsangming Kingdom, heed my command. Kill everyone without mercy. Kill, kill, kill." At the foot of Tsang Mountain, one could intermittently hear the clashing of weapons, the frightened screams and angry shouts of men and women, and the sounds of flesh being pierced. Some martial artists attempted to flee. However, just as they flew not too far out, it was as though they had hit a wall. Their bodies convulsed uncontrollably as thunder crackled and lightning struck them, instantly electrocuting them into charred corpses. This place had become a complete hell, where any creature attempting to escape would be mercilessly slaughtered. The red silk originally spread on the ground had long been torn, burned, and reduced into a mess, but the ground underneath was still bright red, stained red with blood. In sealed dragon domain, Zhou Yanan looked at the scene of the massacre outside, his face as pale as paper. He recognized this army. It was the army of the Tsangming Kingdom, a total of 300,000 low-rank martial artists. The leader was Venerable Mu Hua, a peak expert on the nascent soul stage. He was also the sole survivor when the Feng family was annihilated, the Feng family patriarch. After everyone outside was killed, the Feng family's patriarch came to the entrance of sealed dragon domain and sneered. "Those of you inside, listen well. If you hand over Shiyu obediently, that will be it. I might even spare your life. But if not, don't blame me for flattening Tsang Mountain and turning all of you into wandering souls within these hills." Zhou Yanan and the others were relieved when they heard this. So, the young lady escaped and didn't fall into their hands? Thank goodness. Thank goodness. The sealed dragon domain's barrier was tightly shut. The place was quiet except for the sound of the evening breeze blowing the leaves. Feng family's patriarch frowned. He was about to order a full-scale attack, when a man with a sallow complexion stepped forward from behind him. With a mocking smile he said, A mere soul-splitting stage old-timer set up this place. It might stop a martial artist's nascent soul stage, but you still want to stop me? Ridiculous. The sealed dragon domain was left behind by immortal Zijin before he ascended. At the time, he was only a soul-splitting stage practitioner. The one who stepped forward to speak was Qishan, who also had soul-splitting stage cultivation. He slowly brought his hands together. A ball of light, resembling a vortex, appeared between them. He then fiercely launched it, and it landed at the entrance of the sealed dragon domain. Boom! There was a massive explosion. The earth shook and the mountains quaked, with rocks crumbling. A crack appeared in the tightly sealed dragon domain. Dust was kicked up and settled, revealing the figures of hundreds of thousands of people. Feng family's patriarch burst into hearty laughter. Sir Qishan, what impressive skills and cultivation you have. Now I'd like to see where those scoundrels could possibly run off to. Zhou Yanan trembled slightly. Just now, he felt the teleportation array to the secret domain was destroyed. In other words, they were now in the Greenwood domain. Even if they wanted to escape to other domains, they were unable to do anything unless the real owner of the secret domain, Shiyu, returned. Chapter 1643. Are you afraid of death? Feng family's patriarch levitated in the air. Scanning the place with his divine sense and finding no trace of Shiyu's presence, he frowned in displeasure. He looked down at the hundreds of thousands of people in the sealed dragon domain and said coldly, I know Shiyu is not here. If any of you can reveal Shiyu's possible hiding place, even just one, I can spare your life. In the end, Shiyu is just a little girl. How deep can her connection be with you all? Is she more important than your brothers and family? If you just tell me where Shiyu is, I can not only spare your life but also ensure that your power greatly increases. How about it? Does anyone wish to speak now? Silence fell over the Greenwood domain. Not a single voice was raised. A boy from the Shengda Hall branch took a cautious step forward. If I tell you, will you really spare me? A surge of joy welled up in the heart of the Feng family's patriarch. Just as the boy opened his mouth to speak, a flash of silver light streaked from the large golden ring blade in Chen Bai's hand. The boy was silenced before he could utter a word. With his face still pale, Zhou Yanan didn't spare the young man a glance. He said coldly, We have already sworn allegiance to Mississippi. Anyone who dares to betray Miss will be killed without mercy. Our lives are right here. If you want them, come and take them. But making us betray the young miss? In your dreams. Chen Guang shouted loudly. Chen Bai waved his golden ring blade and looked coldly at all the guys in Shengda Hall. Whoever else wants to betray the young miss and the young master, step forward now. Betrayal of miss will be met with merciless death. Kill without mercy. In unison, the 100,000 Jingxue army soldiers raised their voices. The ground shook for a moment, and the valley seemed to rumble with echoes. The Feng family's patriarch's expression became unsightly. He hadn't expected that Shiyu, just a young girl, would command such loyalty from her subordinates. Those were 100,000 soldiers, yet not a single one harbored thoughts of betrayal. Qishan sneered, his expression cruel yet nonchalant. They are just a bunch of ants. If they refuse to obey, then kill them. Kill them slowly, make it more agonizing. I don't believe Shiyu can resist coming out. Yes, Sir Qishan. Feng family's patriarch waved his hand toward the 300,000 Songming Kingdom's army behind him. His aged voice carried far and wide. Annihilate all living beings in the sealed dragon domain. Since you spurn courtesy and seek death, so be it. I shall grant your wish. Chen Guang leaped onto a hilltop and shouted to the 100,000 soldiers. Brothers, are you afraid of death? We live for battle. We die for battle. What's there to fear? From the moment Mr. Ouyang entrusted us to Miss Shi, she became our only master. We swear to protect our master with our lives. Good. Chen Guang's eyes reddened, and his hoarse roar echoed through the valley. Those unafraid of death, follow me, charge. We'll stake our lives against these sons of bitches. Charge. Kill these sons of bitches. Master, what is that? Qing Wan asked in horror, pointing at the runes slowly flashing in the sky. Those runes were densely packed like a net, trapping everyone in it. Nangong eyes were deep red, flickering and elusive, profound like a deep, icy water. He slowly said, "Isolation barrier." Just as Qingwuan was about to ask what the isolation barrier was, she saw Xianwu rushing over, kneeling before Nangong. His voice tinged with a hint of panic. "Master, I tried to summon the Iron Kirin, but attempts through both the transmission talisman and the boundless black market were futile." Chapter 1644. Get lost. I attempted to head to the Iron Kirin camp, but as soon as I left Yinjing City, I got repelled by a powerful force. Gu Lufeng and the others also stared at the dense runes in the sky, swallowing hard before saying, "The people from the Siam continent, what do they want to do by setting up such a terrifying net? Is it all just to capture Shiyu?" Ouyang Haoshuan glanced at Gu Lufeng with a mocking smile flashing across his eyes. What are they trying to do? Of course, they want to obtain the wood source from Shiyu. Back then, the Feng family tortured my parents to death for the fire element spirit pearl in me. However, what does the fire element spirit pearl amount to compared to the wood source? With such a treasure in Shiyu's possession, how could it not drive people mad? Sister. It's sister. Xiaoqi suddenly shouted excitedly. His hands instinctively hit the ground. He was ready to run over like a wild beast. Simultaneously, the blood within Ouyang Haoshuan also surged, a sensation belonging to the blood pact. Even Shi Jia and others, who had Shiyu's fundamental essence planted in their bodies, said excitedly, "It's Mississippi. She is heading to the sealed dragon domain. Let's hurry over there." Where the sword passed, the air seemed to have been cleaved by thunder, creating a fissure that emitted crackling and snapping sounds. Subsequently, several figures gradually emerged amidst the flickering electric light. Haha, it turns out that Shiyu is rushing to the sealed dragon domain. Thank you so much for telling us the news. Lu Yunhai wore a smug smile on his face. Looking at Nangong and the others, his eyes were full of contempt and mockery, along with excitement about soon securing the wood source. Behind Lu Yunhai were Lu Wushuang and Qianyu, who wore white clothes and veils, as well as Silver Fox, Black Snake, and Lu Xuyang from the Green Vine clan. Upon seeing Nangong's incomparably handsome face, she fell into a trance, and her whole heart seemed as if it would leap out of her chest. She resented Yin Charan for snatching away Nangong Outyin. However, she hadn't expected upon laying eyes on Nangongyu, she would discover that this son of Nangong Outyin and Yin Charan surpassed even Nangong Outyin himself. He was all the more capable of stirring her heart and soul. Nangongyu swung the Xianyuan sword in his hand and said coldly, "Get lost. What are you to dare tell us to get lost?" Black Snake sneered. Just a low-level cultivator from the lower realms who lucked into training up to the soul-splitting stage. Do you think you're really all that? Believe it or not. Before Black Snake could finish speaking, the Xianyuan sword in Nangongyu's hand suddenly soared into the air, emitting a piercing howl as it thrust straight toward Black Snake. The overwhelming momentum greatly changed Black Snake's expression. Narrowing his eyes, Lu Yunhai suddenly leaped up. The dark red sword in his hand was unsheathed and he faced Xianyuan's sword directly. With a bang, a loud noise erupted as the two swords clashed, light flashing brilliantly, as bright as daylight. Luo Yunhai retrieved his sword, with a murky and indistinct light in his eyes. Truly worthy of being Nangong Outyin's son, you have some skill. But if you intend to stop my Luo family from securing the wood source, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Wushuang, Qianyu, enter the sealed dragon domain first. Make sure you capture Shiyu alive. Yes, Third Elder. Nangongyu's face was filled with fury. Seeing that Luo Wushuang and the others were about to rush toward the sealed dragon domain, he dashed forward in a blur, ready to charge at them. Chapter 1645. A battle with no chance of winning. Lu Yunhai sneered. The aura around him surged, like an overwhelming mountain. Even the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers drastically changed their color. At this moment, the third elder of the Lu family truly showed his strength. Even the silver fox was startled. He instinctively retreated. That was the advanced level of the void darkness stage. That cultivation level surpassed Nangongyu's cultivation by a whole stage. A Void Darkness stage martial artist at the advanced level would reduce everyone present into a pool of blood with one slash. Only Nangongyu had the slightest possibility of fending off the attack. Lu Yunhai swung his sword, sweeping through like a hurricane with a mighty buzzing noise. Dang! There was a loud collision. Nangongyu's figure flickered, and he stood before everyone. The Xianyuan sword trembled violently, and made a cracking sound. Nangongyu's face turned pale as blood spilled from his mouth. Master! Qinglong and the rest screamed. Nangongyu glanced at Xiaoqi and then at Ouyang Haoshuan. I'll stop him. You guys rush to the sealed dragon domain, and make sure to send Xiaoqi back to Shiyu. Only he knew how much wood energy Xiaoqi contained. If Shiyu was seriously injured, the only one who could help Shiyu recover was Xiaoqi. Ouyang Haoshuan was startled. His expression slowly became solemn. I swear I will definitely rush back to Xieyu's side, and I will ensure Xiaoqi's safe return. Gu Lufeng grabbed Xiaoqi, his voice trembling. Nangongyu, be careful. After saying that, Gu Lufeng carried Xiaoqi on his back. Then he ran his spiritual power around his body, and he rushed toward the sealed dragon domain like a fired arrow. Thinking you can leave just like that? Heh, do you treat us as nothing? Black Snake showed a contemptuous smile. A thick, foul-smelling black gas emanated from his body as he prepared to fly toward Gu Lufeng and his companions. However, the black gas failed to spread to Gu Lufeng and the others. Wu Xian held the long sword in his hand and slashed toward the black gas, barely blocking Black Snake's attack. Master has instructed them to leave, so they must leave. No one is allowed to stop them. 6 other people, including Qinglong and Wu Yu, also stepped forward and stood beside Wu Xian, looking at Black Snake coldly. Ha ha ha, you merely have 2 nascent souls and a few gold core stages, yet you want to stop me? Black Snake threw his head back, his laughter filled with mockery. What do you consider yourselves? And who do you think I am? Minions, attack. Slay these golden cores. Upon your return, I will commend your achievements to our master. 6 martial artists from the nascent soul stage rushed forward fiercely and surrounded Qinglong's group. A soul-splitting stage versus a void darkness stage at the advanced level. 2 nascent soul stage and 5 gold core stage versus 6 nascent soul stage and 1 soul-splitting stage. This was a battle destined to have no chance of winning, but no one would back down. Gu Lufeng, Ouyang Haoshuan, and Shi Jia, carrying Xiaoqi, desperately rushed toward the Tsang Mountain direction. Even if the spiritual energy in their bodies was exhausted, they directly absorbed spiritual energy from the crystal stones, oblivious to the pain in their meridians as if on fire. Suddenly, a peal of laughter, clear as a silver bell, echoed through the air, as if ringing right beside their ears. Gu Lufeng and the others halted abruptly. Their faces were cold and solemn. Qianyu's graceful figure slowly fell from the air, followed by several martial artists from the nascent soul stage, with fluttering clothes and grace. However, in the eyes of Gu Lufeng and others, they were demons descending from the sky. As soon as Qianyu landed, she chuckled and said, Tisk tsk, that little girl Shiyu is so pretty and blessed. All the men around her are so fresh and young. Chapter 1646. Promise, handsome, considering how charming you are, how about this? You hand over the person on your back, and I'll let you guys go. Deal. Nangongyu said that you must send him to Shiyu. Hee, you're making me curious about what is so special about this boy. Gu Lufeng took a deep breath and said in a low voice, Ouyang Haoshuan, can you discern her cultivation level? Ouyang Haoshuan shook his head. Gu Liufeng's face turned as pale as paper. Ouyang Haoshuan was a nascent soul stage. He couldn't see this woman's cultivation level, which meant that this woman was at least a soul-splitting stage. For them to face the soul-splitting stage, their fate was sealed. Gu Lufeng closed his eyes. He suddenly put Xiaoqi on Ouyang Haoshuan's back and said in a deep voice, Haoshuan, you take Xiaoqi and go first. I will hold off this woman. Ouyang Haoshuan frowned, and was about to put Xiaoqi back on Gu Liufeng's back. However, Gu Lufeng stopped him. Ouyang Haoshuan, you have to remember that the most important thing now is to save Shiyu and fulfill our promise. Protect Shiyu. Your cultivation level is higher than mine. Only if you take Xiaoqi with you will you have a greater chance of sending him to Shiyu. Ouyang Haoshuan stood there for a long time, then lowered his eyes. The golden silk flew out of his hand and tied Xiaoqi tightly to his body. One of his hands was broken, and the other hand had to hold the red lotus sword, so he had to use this method. Qing Wan's eyes reddened with tears welled up in her eyes. She had abandoned her master, and even left Qing Long and the others to hurry here, all in the hope of returning to her Mississippi. It was her negligence that allowed Miss to be kidnapped. Even if she had to sacrifice her life, she would still protect Miss at all costs. Qing Wan was about to call Shi Jia and the others to leave, but Shi Jia suddenly pushed her hard to Ouyang Haoshuan. Mr. Ouyang, Miss Qing Wan, you go first. We will stop them with young Master Gu. You all. Qing Wan's voice broke into sobs. She finally couldn't no longer hold back her tears. Shi Jia smiled. His expression was honest and steady. Miss Qing Wan, don't blame yourself. The ones who should feel guilty are us. As the Mrs. Subordinate and her personal guards, we let her be taken. Even in death, we couldn't atone for our sins. Young Master Gu is already having a hard time dealing with that woman alone. Let us stop her followers. Mr. Ouyang, Miss Qing Wan, please send Xiaoqi back to Mississippi. Qian Yu burst into laughter when he heard their conversation as if he had heard a ridiculous joke. A bunch of slaves in the physique training stage, who aren't martial artists yet, and a gold core stage actually think they can stop us? Gu Hui, they're looking down on you, even having the thought of stopping you here. I wonder what's going through your mind. A young man with a soft yet malicious face behind Qian Yu slowly stepped forward upon hearing those words. He sneered. Heh, I will teach them the consequences of their arrogance. Tell me, for the insult to a high-level martial artist on the verge of reaching the soul-splitting stage, how do you wish to die? Skinned and torn apart? Or shall I break every bone in your bodies? Gu Hui, the best general under Qian Yu, was approaching the soul-splitting stage with his cultivation level. He only needed an opportunity to break through from the nascent soul stage. Over a year ago, Shi Jia and the others were considered trash, not even having reached the qi refining stage. They were merely slaves, confined in cages and sold at will. Chapter 1647. Waiting for the lady to come back, Ouyang Haoshuan took a deep breath, and the flaming spiritual power in his dantian was fuming. He did not stop or look back, but quickly rushed toward the sealed dragon domain. Tears filled Qing Wan's face. Finally, she took a deep look at Gu Lufeng and Shi Jia, then turned around to follow Ouyang Haoshuan. The sealed dragon domain was clearly in front of them, but the road to Shiyu felt so distant. Sealed dragon domain. The pungent smell of blood pervaded the valley, with viscous liquid flowing on the ground like water, staining the plants red and soaking into the soil. The Feng family patriarch stared blankly at the nearby battlefield, where fierce fighting and shouting echoed. Suddenly, he swallowed as a bead of sweat rolled down his forehead. He had never imagined that the battle would become so intense. Despite having an army of 300,000 and numerous high-rank martial artists from the gold core stage, he was helpless against a mere 100,000. Indeed, everyone knew that apart from Iron Kirin of the King of Hell Mansion, the Jinling Kingdom's army was nothing more than a motley crowd. Half a year ago, most of the soldiers in the Jingxue army were mortals with no cultivation. In contrast, almost everyone in the Tsangming Kingdom's army was a martial artist above the qi refining stage. However, what had they gone through in just 6 months? Why were they able to fight the Tsangming Kingdom's army with a huge disparity of 100,000 units to 300,000 units? What exactly was driving them? Even with severed hands, exhausted breath and blood covering their bodies, they refused to take a single step back. On the battlefield, with a single slash, Chen Guang took down a soldier from the Tsangming Kingdom. Wiping the blood from his face, he shouted hoarsely to a young man beside him. Shanzi, how are you? Are you still alive? Captain, I'm fine. Even if I die, I will kill them all. Ah. Yes, I've disliked them for a long time. Isn't that old man from the Feng family one of the main culprits behind harming General Ouyang? Even if we can't kill that bastard, killing more of their soldiers would be avenging the general. Haha, yes, kill them and avenge the general. Shanzi shouted loudly, but his voice abruptly halted when a saber, flickering with flames, pierced through his dantian. Shanzi! Chen Guang shouted loudly, his voice tinged with a sobbing tone. Around him were fallen comrades and cries echoing their unyielding determination, even in the face of death. Captain! I, Shanzi, have no regrets about following the general and Mississippi captain. Kill more of those bastards, avenge us. Shanzi grabbed the blade firmly, disregarding the blood gushing out from his bleeding abdomen. He lunged at the person behind him. Even if I die, I will take you down with me. Zhou Yanan slashed at its Songming Kingdom's general who charged at him, and then shouted to Shilang, take the children and leave first. Do you hear me? This is an order. Shilang held his head high defiantly. His eyes were fierce like a wolf, staring at his enemy. Butler Zhou, my only master is the young lady. You can't order me around. We were originally saved by the young lady. Without her, there would be no us. The sealed dragon domain belongs to the lady. Even if I die, I'll stay here waiting for her return. Zhou Yanan's eyes were bloodshot, and his body trembled uncontrollably. In the end he said hoarsely, Okay, good boy. Even in death, we must guard the sealed dragon domain for Shiyu. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.